I were to ask you, what are the worst two states? Would you say New York and California? So I want to share some prophetic revelation about New York that I received this morning. This is probably going on in California too, but I can only put my mind to so many things, and I live in New York, so I'm more aware of this. Also, I just got back from another run, so yeah. So back in 2019, the Lord said, the fall of Saul, rise of David. And what he was telling me is that an old kingdom is about to fall and a new kingdom is about to rise, because Saul was the first king of Israel and then David took over Saul's reign. As David was anointed, Saul started to fall and tried to kill David left and right because he sensed that David was the next heir to the throne. So I said, okay, Lord, how is that going to happen? What is it going to start to look like? And God is like, well, first you will see a lot of exposure on the land. You will see so many things bare and exposed where people could see with their own eyes what's happening. If you can't see exposure in these last several years, I don't know where your head's at. I don't have time to go deep into it. I've done it in other videos, but I think we can rest assured that there's been a lot of exposure in the last 4 or 5 years. So then God said that he would send his waves of mercy across the exposing, because there's something that happens when the light is fully shined on you, and now you have a decision to make with everyone being able to see what decision you make. It parallels to Judas being exposed with the light shining on him at the Last Supper, and he still decided to go wicked. Paul was exposed, blinded by the light, knocked off of his horse on the way to Damascus, and then he repented and came to the Lord. So we see two different pathways could be taken once you're fully exposed and the light shines on you. It is during that realm of being exposed where the waves of mercy are going across, because God gives everyone a choice to repent and gives everyone an allotted amount of grace to turn from what they're doing. So then I was like, okay, God, well, what happens when those that are exposed choose not to turn and repent to the Lord? What happens to them? And he says, well, that's when justice occurs. You could read more about this in Romans 1. You could read about it right here where these guys are heaping up their sins to the limit. And you could read it about it right here in James, where when sin is full, at its fullest measure, it gives birth to death. What I have seen in New York prophetically is that a lot of the people in New York have chosen the way of Judas. They have been fully exposed, the light is shined on them, and yet they refuse to repent and they continue to try to walk the wicked road. Just off the top of my head, first we see Cuomo stepping down because he had to. He had too much on him, and that's still brewing right now. Then we see Hochul's aide get arrested for being a Chinese spy. And then all of a sudden Hochul has cancer, does a Homer Simpson and backs out of the light. And now we have Mayor Adams that is being indicted for who knows what. Now, it is my belief that all of these people and many more in New York have chose the way of Judas. They've been exposed, they refuse to repent, and now justice is coming on them, just like Pharaoh had so many chances to repent as those plagues were coming down. He could have repented, but he ultimately ran into the Red Sea, tried to go after Israel, and then the Red Sea collapsed on him as a sign of justice. That is my belief for the season now, that we're in the realm of justice, where that Red Sea is just going to keep on collapsing on people's heads that refuse to repent and turn and go the right way. Now, I will say one more thing related to this, that sometimes people that are caught up in the fire, like you see Mayor Adams is right now, sometimes, I'm not saying it's him, but sometimes it means that they've done nothing wrong and the enemy is trying to take them down because they haven't aligned with what they want to happen. You see examples of this where Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego were thrown into the fire because they wouldn't bow down to Nebuchadnezzar. You see it when Daniel is thrown into the lion's den because the people in the realm of the Persian Empire council tricked him to not pray to his God, so he was thrown into the lion's den. Then you see Mordecai, where a gallows was set up for him to hang from, and it flipped and it ultimately went to Haman. But what you see is righteous being thrown in the fire and seeing if they could prove that they have been tested and have passed the test. So we see justice occurring, and we also see people that are in the fire to see if they could pass the test. Which one are you? Because God sees all. There's nothing hidden from him. He sees it all. Hope that this has blessed you today. God bless you and have a good day.